John chapter 11, 1 through 44 is the story of Jesus raising Lazarus from the dead. Now, this is a longer account, so I don't have time to read every verse. If you watch my videos through John, I usually read every verse and then explain them. So I'm just going to give you some highlights from this story. So Jesus comes to the house of Mary and Martha, and who are Lazarus' sisters. And the sisters say, "Our brother Lazarus is very sick." And Jesus responds and he says, "The sickness will not end in death." So Mary and Martha were asking Jesus to come and heal him, but Jesus said, "I'm going to stay and wait for a couple days." As Jesus is waiting for a couple days, Lazarus dies, so Jesus is waiting on purpose so that he can raise him from the dead. So Jesus makes his way to Bethany where Lazarus has died, and at this point, Lazarus has already been dead for 4 days. Martha saw Jesus and said, "If you were here, my brother would have not died." She's really upset that he didn't come and heal him. And Jesus said back, "Your brother's going to rise again." And so she says, I know he's going to rise again in the resurrection on the last day. And Jesus said, "I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever believes in me, though he die, yet shall he live." Mary arrived and said basically the same thing. She said, "Lord, if you were here, my brother would have not died." And they were crying. They were so sad. And Jesus wept with them. So Jesus said, "Roll away the stone." And Martha said, "No, he's been dead for 4 days. It's going to stink." And Jesus responded, "Didn't I tell you that if you believed, you would see the glory of God?" So they rolled away the stone. Then Jesus looked up to heaven and said, "Father, thank you for hearing me. You always hear me, but I said it out loud for the sake of these people standing here so that they will believe you sent me." Then Jesus shouted, "Lazarus, come out!" And the dead man came out, and his hands and his feet were bound in grave clothes, and his face was wrapped in a headcloth. And Jesus told them, "Unwrap him and let him go." So Jesus literally raised this man from the dead, which is awesome because that's a picture of Christ was going to raise himself from the dead. He has the power of resurrection to raise Lazarus, but he has the power to rise again from the tomb after 3 days. So it was a foreshadow of his own resurrection. What Jesus is showing us in this story is he has dominion over death. 1 Corinthians 15 talks about, man, if you die, you're going to rise again. And it says, man, death, where is your sting? And the power of death is sin. But death has lost its victory over us because Christians will go and have a resurrected body in heaven. They will never die. The key verse of this chapter, Jesus says, "I am the resurrection and the life." Remember, we talked about earlier that there's seven I am statements in John and 7 miracles. And this is one of the I am statements where Jesus says, "I am the resurrection and I am the life." I have the power to resurrect and I have the power to give life. But the way to experience resurrection and life is you have to believe in who Jesus is.